The Galactic Survey. In the distant reaches of the galaxy, the advanced alien civilization, known as the Zephyrians, had long prided themselves on their mastery of science and exploration. With countless worlds under their belt, they had come to believe there was little left in the universe that could surprise them. That is, until they discovered Earth. At first glance, the Zephyrian surveyors deemed the blue-green planet uninhabitable. Its atmosphere was choked with nitrogen and oxygen, its surface largely covered in a substance they couldn't identify as anything other than dihydrogen monoxide. Surely, nothing could survive in such a volatile environment. But the Zephyrians were nothing if not thorough. They decided to send an expendable explorer to survey the planet up close, to confirm their initial assessment. And so, Zorlak, a young and eager Zephyrian, found himself strapped into a small spacecraft, hurtling towards the mystery world. Zorlak's arrival. As Zorlak approached Earth's atmosphere, his ship began to malfunction. The planet's gravitational pull was stronger than he anticipated, and before he could correct course, he found himself in an uncontrolled descent. The ship crash-landed in the middle of a dense forest, smashing through branches and scattering debris across the spongy ground. Zorlak emerged from the wreckage, dazed but unharmed, and found himself standing in a world unlike any he had encountered before. Towering trees stretched towards the sky, their leaves rustling in the gentle breeze. The air was thick with unfamiliar scents, and the ground beneath his feet was soft and damp. Zorlak was astounded. How could anything survive in such a lush, overgrown environment? As he explored his surroundings, Zorlak quickly discovered that the planet was teeming with life. Insects buzzed around his head, their tiny wings glinting in the dappled sunlight. Small furry creatures scurried through the underbrush, their eyes bright with curiosity. But not all of Earth's creatures were so harmless. As Zorlak pushed deeper into the forest, he felt a sharp sting on his ankle. Looking down, he saw a small black creature scuttling away, an insect of some kind with a painful bite. Zorlak's skin began to swell and itch, and he realized with growing concern that he was ill-equipped to handle this planet's diverse and perilous wildlife. First contact. Injured and overwhelmed, Zorlak stumbled through the forest, his mind reeling with questions. How could a planet so hostile, so filled with danger, support such an abundance of life? What kind of creatures could possibly thrive in this unforgiving landscape? As if in answer to his questions, Zorlak suddenly found himself face to face with two of the planet's most enigmatic inhabitants, humans. The couple, who had been camping in the woods, stumbled upon Zorlak by chance. They were initially startled by his appearance. His shimmering, scale-like skin and large, compound eyes were unlike anything they had ever seen. But when they realized he was injured, their compassion overtook their fear. Despite the language barrier, the humans did their best to communicate with Zorlak, using gestures and simple words to convey their intent. They led him to their campsite, where they tended to his wounds with strange salves and bandages. Zorlak watched in amazement as the humans worked, marveling at their ingenuity and resourcefulness. With their primitive tools and limited understanding of the universe, they had somehow found a way to not only survive, but thrive on this hostile world. As the days passed and Zorlak's wounds healed, he found himself growing more and more fascinated by his human companions. Their kindness, their curiosity, their indomitable spirit in the face of adversity. It was unlike anything he had encountered in all his travels. Slowly but surely, a bond began to form between the alien explorer and the human couple, and as Zorlak learned more about their way of life, he began to realize that his people had vastly underestimated this little blue planet and its remarkable inhabitants. A new perspective. With his ship damaged beyond repair, Zorlak had no choice but to accompany his new human friends back to their home, a small city on the edge of the wilderness. As they journeyed together, Zorlak marveled at the world around him. The humans had tamed the wild landscape, bending it to their will with roads and bridges, buildings and machines. They had harnessed the power of the planet's resources, using them to fuel their endless creativity and innovation. But what struck Zorlak most was the humans' sheer determination. In the face of every obstacle, every challenge, they simply refused to give up. They adapted, they persevered, they found a way to keep moving forward. Arriving in the city, Zorlak was overwhelmed by the sights and sounds of human civilization. Towering skyscrapers reached towards the heavens, their glass and steel facades glinting in the sunlight. Vehicles of every shape and size filled the streets, their engines humming with barely contained power. And everywhere he looked, Zorlak saw evidence of the humans' boundless ingenuity. From the clothes they wore to the food they ate, from the art they created to the stories they told, every aspect of their lives was a testament to their ability to shape the world around them. As he walked the city streets, shoulder to shoulder with his human companions, Zorlak felt a growing sense of awe and respect. These creatures, who his people had dismissed as primitive and insignificant, were actually some of the most remarkable beings he had ever encountered. And with that realization came a troubling thought. If the Zephyrians had so vastly misjudged humanity, what other wonders and dangers might they have overlooked in their hubris? What other surprises lay waiting in the vast expanse of the universe, ready to challenge everything they thought they knew? Unexpected allies. As Zorlak contemplated these questions, a disturbing message came through on his ship's damaged communication system. The Zephyrians, having lost contact with their explorer, had assumed the worst. They now saw Earth as a potential threat, a planet that could produce beings capable of challenging their supremacy. Their solution was as simple as it was terrible. They would destroy Earth, wiping out all life on the planet to ensure their own safety. Zorlak was horrified. He knew he had to stop his people, to show them the truth about humanity before it was too late. But he also knew he couldn't do it alone. Desperate and running out of time, Zorlak turned to his human friends for help. He explained the situation as best he could, using a combination of gestures, drawings, and the few words of their language he had managed to learn. To his surprise and relief, the humans didn't hesitate. They pledged to do whatever they could to help Zorlak protect their planet, even in the face of an alien threat they barely understood. Together, the unlikely allies began to devise a plan. They would use Zorlak's knowledge of Zephyrian technology to send a message to the approaching fleet, inviting them to meet on Earth's surface for negotiations. And when the Zephyrians arrived, they would be greeted not by primitives, but by a united front of humans and their alien friend, ready to defend their home. It was a desperate gamble, but it was the only chance they had. And as Zorlak looked around at his human companions, seeing the determination in their eyes and the strength in their stance, he began to believe that maybe, just maybe, they could pull it off. Humanity's stand. The Zephyrian fleet arrived in Earth's orbit, their ships casting ominous shadows across the planet's surface. From their vantage point high above, the aliens looked down on the blue-green world with a mix of curiosity and contempt. They had come to eradicate what they saw as a potential threat, to cleanse the universe of a species that dared to challenge their supremacy. But as their ships descended towards the planet, they were met with a sight they never expected. Standing on a wide plain, the lone figure awaited them. Zorlak, their lost explorer, alive and well. And behind him, spread out in a vast semicircle, stood hundreds of humans, their faces set with determination. As the Zephyrians emerged from their ships, weapons at the ready, Zorlak stepped forward. In a loud, clear voice, he addressed his people, his words translated by a device the humans had helped him build. He told them of his time on Earth, of the wonders and challenges he had encountered. He spoke of the humans' kindness, their ingenuity, their indomitable spirit in the face of adversity. And he pleaded with his people to see beyond their fear and prejudice, to recognize humanity's potential as allies rather than enemies. At first, the Zephyrians were unmoved. They had come too far, invested too much in their plan to turn back now. But as Zorlak continued to speak, his words began to sink in. The humans, watching anxiously from behind their alien friend, began to step forward. One by one, They added their voices to Zorlak's, sharing stories of their own struggles and triumphs, their hopes and dreams for the future. And slowly, incredibly, the Zephyrians began to listen. They saw in humanity a reflection of their own past, of the challenges they had faced and overcome on their path to greatness. They saw a species with limitless potential, a species that could be not just a rival, but a partner in the grand adventure of the cosmos. As the sun began to set over the plain, casting long shadows across the gathered crowd, the Zephyrian leader stepped forward. In a gesture of peace and respect, he extended his hand to the nearest human, a simple but profound act of connection. And as Zorlak watched, his heart swelling with pride and relief, he knew that this was just the beginning. The road ahead would be long and difficult, full of challenges and misunderstandings. But he also knew that as long as humans and Zephyrians stood together, as long as they faced the universe with open minds and open hearts, there was nothing they couldn't achieve. The end.